everybody. Today we're going to talk about our Managing Stakeholders workshop in Dubai on the 22nd of April. But as an introduction to it, we want to talk about successful change, and successful change happening when involvement takes place. Projects are normally about some kind of change. Warren Bennis says it's about getting support from the right people and making sure others are not either inert or against you. The research that Standish has done in 2009 shows that only 32% of projects were successful. 44% were challenged. That means they were over budget or late. 24% were not delivered at all. They failed, they were cancelled, or even worse, they were delivered and then nothing actually happened. Cranfield research shows that bad communication between stakeholders is the principal cause of project failure. So Sreechith and I are here today to talk about some of our experiences here in the UAE about projects and projects' failures. So Sreechith, you were telling me a little earlier on about a roof and a generator?
Yeah. Actually, one of the leading group, they were setting up their IT data center, and part of that implementation they need a redundant power because the electricity is gone, they need a power. So they planning about putting a generator as a redundant power. So this is on a 5-story building, so they went ahead and asked the owner of this building, can we put a generator on the top of the roof? They told yes, go ahead and do it. So they placed the order, the material came, the big equipment came, but when they went back and asked, we are going to place this equipment, then they realized this load can't be taken by this building.
Oh,
so whatever investment they made to make a high available data center, but end up with again single point of failure. Now if you look at why it's happened, what do you think?
Well, I guess it's something to do with communication. Making an assumption that the roof would hold a generator.
Correct.
Maybe somebody assumed that the generator was a small generator, not a large generator.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Good.
So that's where the stakeholder management is quite important, because we can't just assume things. Sometimes they might have thought it may be a small one, maybe the person who communicated might have thought, oh, he may have already agreed for everything. Yeah. But unless you really look at the impact, you won't be getting the benefit out of that project. Yeah. That's what one of the examples from our side.
Okay. Well, one of mine was to do with the customer relationship management system, CRM, and the project came in from the UK to the UAE, but the implementation failed in many ways. At best it was moderately used, at worst it was poorly used, and largely it was to do again with communication down the line from senior management to junior management. People did their job, people explained what the CRM system was all about, but largely because people weren't using it properly at the highest level, they were never going to use it at the lowest level.
Correct.
So that was a disaster really.
Yeah.
5 years of hard work trying to get people to use something that they very much resisted. We much prefer to use the old system. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes. So
again,
people were not properly involved. The right people were not properly involved.
Correct. So another example I can say, like one of the leading group of companies, and they were replacing their billing system in the outlets, and they went ahead and signed up with a big known software provider, and they started rolling out into different countries. When they went to the Saudi Arabia, now Saudi Arabia has a law saying that any of your invoice or bill produced from an outlet must be Arabic. So guess what? Basically the project went ahead for a complete chaotic, because they have to delay the project, they have to customize the software to support the Arabic one. The worst part is even the government started penalizing them for not comply to the regulatory thing.
Okay. So they had to have penalties because the invoices that they weren't weren't in Arabic.
Correct.
Yeah.
So think about now, it's not that how much homework you do, but if you are not considering the impact come from the external environment like government or municipality, or even within your team, somebody have a specific requirement. So if you are not identifying those people, what happened is the project can put into a state in between. You already invested a lot of money, then boom.
And I think we talked earlier about training projects and the way that people in training are expected to work miracles as far as the the whole implementation of change that takes place rather than actually senior managers. The other couple of examples that I've got is to do with performance management systems. Again, that it was training responsibility, get the training done, explain how the new system will work to the people. And the performance management system recently was to do with a new bonus system. And everybody heard new bonus system, reduced amount of bonus, not interested in key performance indicators. So it's all to do with communicating the project, getting people involved, and making sure you know who key stakeholders were. There was in fact one particular part of the business where they had really got to grips and understood these KPIs. And in that particular part of the business, it was working fine because everybody understood it. And they were involved, and again it shows how important involvement is and communication.
Correct.
And I think you've got another example about a warehouse.
Yeah, that's again a classic one, because one of the company was expanding the business and they were building a warehouse, and they thought about, okay, we'll put a small office also because we can then shift some of the staff from head office. And they contracted to the well-known contractor. They developed the whole infrastructure. When the municipality come for inspection, they told, we can't do a warehouse and an office nearby. There must be a minimum distance between these two. Now again, it's all coming in the last minute. You know, you already invested time and money. Then you are going for a rework, which is you could have really do it in the planning stage. So it's all about, if you are now failing to plan, it's all about your planning to fail, you know. So that's what actually happens with if you are not identifying the right stakeholder and what are their needs and what is their expectation and how do you going to handle it throughout the project. That's where the project becomes more successful.
And the simulation that we're using on this Managing Stakeholders workshop on the 22nd of April is exactly that. And it's amazing how much happens within the last part of the time allowed in the simulation. And that mirrors reality, because that's what really happens. That's when people start to make mistakes, because they're under the kind of time pressures that go on.
Exactly.
So the essence of what we're going to do after the simulation is say, well, okay, how are you going to apply these learnings in your real life to the real projects that either you are managing, or you are part of the team, or you're just a manager within the organisation that is affected by the change.
Correct. I do a lot of project management training. Like if you really look at the standard, the first process itself, you know, identifying the stakeholder and managing the stakeholder. So it's not that people don't know they need to identify the stakeholder and manage, but in reality they don't do it, you know, because they don't have a practical experience to how to handle this. So I think this platform will really help, you know, them to come out with a practical experience rather than just studying the theory. So it bridges the gap between what they know and what they really do in their reality. So I believe this platform and this simulation is going to really help all the project managers and even the managers how to manage their, you know, activity. It's going to be a wonderful tool for helping them to their day-to-day life.
I'm sure it will. And did you tell me earlier on that it's going to be part of some examinations from this year onwards?
Correct. Even though PMI had this managing stakeholder as part of a in their curriculum, and this the latest version, project management PM book version 5, they completely taken this as a knowledge area. Like in the PMI they have 9 knowledge area, which is a different section, like communication management, risk management. Now they put the stakeholder management as a separate knowledge area. So they also realized stakeholder management is so important, same like how do you manage your cost, how do you manage your risk, how do you manage your schedule. It was their part of that. Now they given a clear emphasis on that one, which is clearly shows that there is a need of understanding the stakeholders and managing that one.
So our workshop is good for anybody, people who are taking examinations, to experienced project managers who would like to know more about how to do stakeholder mapping, how to understand what the key benefits to those stakeholders are. Because I think our examples show that really the people were making assumptions about things, people weren't communicating effectively, and therefore delays and additional costs were incurred.
Another beauty of this whole program is because you can't experiment your project within a real project. You are going to mess up the whole life of the people. So if you want to really experience how do I really manage a stakeholder in the similar to the real world, come and experience this one, because you have a different scenario, you have a partner working with you, you know, you have a different case studies and answers, but you can't really experiment those type of learning in a real project.
No.
That's what most of the project managers are really doing. So if you really want to practice your learning, I think this could be the right platform for you.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate every project manager, project coordinator, even managers can experience the power of this particular workshop.
Yeah. So come and join us on the 22nd of April. If you want more information, my phone number is 050 552 4734.
Mine is 050 357 1278.
And let's finish with an amusing example of project management.
Now this picture, I think all of you might have seen either through email or from website. Most of the time people see this as a a cartoon, but in the reality is, in the project management, you are handling multiple people to deliver a output. But the last picture shows what the customer was expecting, and how the way they are explaining, and how the people who build it. Now this is what happened is most of the project, because it's all about effectively communicating and identifying the stakeholders so that you can deliver the good quality result, and we all can benefit the value out of that. And if you really want to understand how do you communicate to different stakeholders on different needs, join us on 22nd of April for this workshop, and I hope all of you will be there and hope to see you there.